Welcome to the Anchor Premier Podcast, where we aim to translate real estate into reality. We hope to educate and entertain and invite you into the conversation. Myself, Brian Cohen, and my co-hosts, Elliot McWhorter and Johnny Dugan. If you have a comment or an idea for a topic or interview, please leave it below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that when new episodes come out, you're the first to know. Now let's get to it.
All right, welcome back to the Anchor Premier Podcast, where every Thursday we attempt to translate realty into reality. In this show, we cover all things home and real estate. We're going to focus on educating and hopefully occasionally entertaining the consumer. That's y'all out there. We left off just a minute ago with kind of what's step one when you start thinking about buying a home. Go ahead and communicate with an agent. Yep. Start hunting for an agent. That was the main point, and then mechanisms of finding an agent. So now we're going to get into, okay, you've picked one of the three of us because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
As your agent, and then now we're going to get into what everybody loves, contractual talk. We'll get into the paperwork. And
it's going to get serious.
Yeah.
And
before we continue,
we're
going to need you to sign.
Yes. Right.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need you to,
and when you do, you're effectively signing an exclusive.
Right.
I need you to commit to this podcast.
Yeah.
right.
Go ahead and subscribe to show your loyalty, and then we'll tell you all about contracts.
No, how about now? No, how about now?
Yeah. So I mean, and a lot of people, are why can't we just do this on a handshake? I think
days are gone.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you being technical. Like legally, there's only two kinds of contract in real estate in Georgia that is enforceable if it's not written. And selling or buying a home are not those two. Mm-hmm. It's like leases under 1 year,
right? And
the other one is something else. But it's the second one is flimsy at best. So for us, just based, even if we trust you, we still are required to get something in writing, and we use some standard forms which are pretty easy to digest and mean like that somebody can use something that's already been vetted by really educated lawyers and not just handwritten by one of us.
Right. And it's better that way, signing an agreement, because there's nothing unstated. There's no gray area. You've left no leaf unturned. Everything is written out in plain English, and if you have any questions, they'll surface right then. You know? So it's better for everyone, especially if you're familiar with your agent too. You don't want to ruin or muddy a relationship over some miscommunication. So
yeah, absolutely,
it's better to just go ahead and let's sign an agreement and have everything out front.
Sure.
Well, the contracts are always two-way streets.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's stating not only you're kind of agreeing to go with me, but it's also stating my obligations back to you. So
of course,
it's not just saying, all right, I got my hooks in you now. Right. If you want to sell, you're going to have to sell with me. Sure. It's now it's saying, okay, you're going to sell with me. Here's all the things I now need to do. I'm now contractually obligated to do for you in the context of moving forward with the sale of your house. So that is a two-way street, and it protects both parties. And like Elliot was saying, it clearly communicates what you're doing, and now you're working for each other.
Yeah.
And now, if you call me on the phone and it's the first time we've talked, I'm not going to say, I'm sorry, I can't answer any questions until you can digitally sign this document. That's not how it works.
No.
But before I start doing work on your behalf and representing you and spending money representing your property, then we're probably going to have an agreement in place. And there's different forms of it. The most common form is the exclusive right to sell, and that's just simply saying, you're my guy. We're going with you. We're not putting it out, to every agent and just, kind of auctioning it off or whatever.
Yep.
But again, the reason we do that is so that our obligation to you is clear.
Yep.
And so because the truth of the matter is, again, because we don't get paid until everything is done. As soon as we start spending not just our time, but one of the first things we do is spend money.
Yep.
So I don't mind my time and consultations and all that stuff. I'm not going to hammer you with paperwork. But before I start spending hundreds of dollars on all the things that go into hundreds and thousands of dollars that go into the process, we're going to have an agreement.
Yeah.
And again, it's not to lock anybody in. It's simply that's how two-way contracts work.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the common notions that's overlooked is the investment of the agent on the front side and the risk. And certainly we value our time, but there's literal dollars, lots of literal dollars that are spent on your behalf.
Yep.
And that's one of the biggest reasons we ask for the buyer agreement is so that we are comfortable investing in your property.
And it's like that's kind of like there are places that you can pay a flat fee. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a standard level of service. It's going to be minimal, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's people that will charge you substantially more than we charge for I don't for a multitude of reasons, or maybe they just are so busy that and so popular they can charge anything they want. Because if they only if they charge double, they only have to make half the sales. Mm-hmm. But I guess my point is the level of service that you get. There is a varying level of service, and if you sign on with somebody, you're that. I always, instead of saying that, like, we got to do paperwork, I was like, this is how you officially hire me, and to be your representative. And when this kind of happens, or when we go through this kind of stuff, it's me also committing to them. Kind of just imaging your point. I'm committing to doing all of these things for you, and to a certain point, like, somebody's got to have some skin in the game, because otherwise, you can end up spinning your own wheels. So by having somebody only sign something saying that they want to sell with you, that's really not a big ask when you're going to do all the work on the front end in hopes to be motivated to get paid. And that's also, like, as a side note, that flat fee, it's less money, less service, less motivation to actually have your self.
Yeah, you've paid them.
Yeah.
And so their motivation to sell is nil. Yeah. They've gotten everything they're going to get. Yep. And so continuing to service you is why, what's their motivation other than, maybe trying to get the next person down the line. But I can tell you, that motivation goes way out the window when you've been paid, especially if anything gets bumpy.
Yep.
If you've already paid them, they're not walking, they're not really, stewarding you through the whole process.
And that brings up, like, the comment I've heard a million times: "Oh, it's just realtors are greedy." I don't know if I would go that far. Yes, there are realtors that are greedy, absolutely, that are going to try to get every single penny that they can get for a multitude of reasons. But it's like the traditional nature of a broker is somebody as a representative who puts together a deal in the middle. They have nothing really to gain on either side outside of they're brought in to put two parties together that both benefit. And their benefit is by doing a good job and making something work that benefits both parties, they receive a fee. And that's, when you look at it on a base awareness like that, it makes a lot more sense of why you want somebody who's going to fight for not only the best price, but the best terms, that's going to negotiate in a way that's consistent with the way you would negotiate. Maybe that's not going to be super soft or super hard unless you're one of those two. And the fact that if they get a little better price, or at least definitely on the net side, which we'll talk more about, but and they get paid just a little bit more, that's an okay motivation, because if they made $1,000 more, the chances are you made 97% more than they did. I could do the math easily, but you're going to profit every time they profit.
Right. So I lost my point.
That's okay. These things happen.
The train left the station without you.
The train left the station.
Happened to me.
I had a
earlier
whole line. I was
Yeah.
because I was going to say I didn't write it down, and then I looked at my notes and it wasn't there, and it whatever was on my notes is what came up next.
It's okay. We can cut,
It'll
we
come
can
back
cut this
around.
little piece. And,
Or we could leave it in.
Blooper reels.
I mean, it is. I mean,
I'm
it's
fine with people laughing at me too.
it is
Hey,
organic
doesn't bother me.
for sure.
Oh, I remember what it was now.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is.
I just had to dig the file back up.
Choo
Thank you.
choo. The trains came back.
It's definitely staying in.
Oh wait, there it is.
And it's gone.
Yeah, so we talked about it being a two-blade street, and I mentioned it's stating our obligation to you, and there's like a pretty obvious like marketing, and there's some things that are listed on the form very specific about what we're doing, but and this is not what's in my notes. Explain what are some of our responsibilities that aren't listed. Things like it is our job as realtors to represent your best interest at all times. It's our job to be confidential about your stuff. It's our job to be honest to you. And so those are things that, like, if we want to keep our jobs and we stay within, not just within compliance, but there are elements of the service that once we're in agreement, within a contractual agreement, that go well beyond like the marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
So talk about like our fiduciaries or our responsibilities kind of beyond the getting pictures done.
Yeah. You want to take that one, Elliot?
I was thinking of a totally different train of thought there at the same time with the marketing side of things.
Yeah, go ahead.
And, before you sign an agreement with a realtor, what is their marketing plan?
Do they
What-
have one?
What are they,
Right.
why are they charging that fee? If they're charging 5%, why? What am I missing? Do I get more if I pay you 6%? What comes with that? So besides the whole contractual agreement, know what you're getting into with your realtor and what their plan is to sell your house.
Yeah, part of the agent interview should be clearly stating like what the marketing plan is.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's mechanisms to do a basic marketing plan, and there's mechanisms to do, an advanced,
Turnkey experience.
Yeah,
Right.
turnkey experience. There's also kind of beyond the standard fare. So what we do for higher-end houses, for example, in part because higher-end houses, there's just less people looking for them. So that means you have to reach farther to find potential buyers. You take out ads in magazines, and you don't normally do that for say a $400,000 house because there's more people looking for them. So you can find a big pool of people. But to your point there, the marketing strategy is one part picking an agent, which we just talked about, but it's built into the contractual part. So understanding that the commissions that you're paying pays for the marketing, and part of the commissions and the amount of commissions are part of the level of service you're going to get on the marketing side, because marketing costs money. And so understanding that, hey, if I'm gonna ask for a discounted rate, you're in effect also asking for a discounted marketing service and discounted marketing plan. I mean, that's
less.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, thanks for bringing that up, Elliot. Yeah, the contract has, the commissions in it. We can talk about commissions as well. But that does tie into the level of service you're getting for that respective, amount.
I think the commissions is a really important question because it's one that a lot of people I don't think don't know or remember the answer to, and they feel really awkward asking it. Like, hey, how much does this cost, or how much do you get paid, or like it happens to me very regularly on commercial side, commercial side, because a lot of people don't, because there's a bunch of different structures. and there's a bunch of different transaction types, and they all pay differently. So like having to explain to people like, yeah, you know, traditionally, and I say traditionally for both legal and specific reasons, but like there can't be a broad agreed upon fee. Like there can be like a expected fee or one that is, you know, traditional, but to say like all realtors charge X, like technically that's against the Sherman antitrust laws.
Yeah, that's right.
So and there's plenty of places that have been big lawsuits on that. So I bring that up because, you know, like it is a sensitive subject, but it's like we want to be honest with people, you know, and traditionally, not required, a seller is going to pay their agent a certain amount, but half of that, in most cases, is going to go as essentially a finder's fee to another agent for bringing a qualified buyer. Because we know that if you have an open house or a whatever, half the people that come through may not actually want the house, be able to buy the house, or they might be there for malicious reasons. So not to trash open houses, but that's different than, let's say you have 5 people come through an open house, 3 of them are neighbors and have no interest in buying, versus you have 5 people come through with realtors who have been vetted, who have been pre-qualified, who are looking for a house that fits the parameters that we're selling. That's a better deal, better use of time, going to get better return than the 5 randos that came out. And that finder's fee incentivizes that agent to bring not only the best client,
Right.
but the best deal that they can.
So let's talk about that. So I had this conversation with a current listing of mine, and he, in the discussion with the seller, said he said, I can get this service to do it for one. What he said is, I can get them to do it for 1%. What's your fee? And the first thing I said, well, you have to understand they're not doing it for 1%. You're paying 4% because they're going to take 3% and give it to the buyer's side. So that's the, you know, finder's fee, et cetera, for representing them.
Right.
The 1% is just, it's on the listing side, and that 1% means they're going to list it for you, that you're going to put it on the MLS, and then they're done. And so they're not, you know, at best they might also set up a scheduler for your, you know, for showings at best. Other than that, so again, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm simply pointing out that when you see advertisements that say, we'll sell your home for 1%, it's not 1% versus 6%, you know, because your other realtor told you it was going to be 6%, but they're saying 1%. It's not 6 versus 1.
It's 3 versus 1.
It's 4 versus, it's
Or
6
4
versus 4.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And then that 2%, that margin is all the things that actually takes to sell your home.
Right.
And so understanding that difference. So again, I'm not trying to sell a specific fee structure. I'm simply saying, understand that if you're listing a home, if you get a discount on the front side, you're still paying probably 3% or something of that ilk, you know, to the other side. Understand that they're not mentioning that cost till the very last second. They're trying to loop you in with we'll sell your house for a very small amount. They're also going to try to sell your house for very small effort and time and expense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it also goes along with that old caveat that says you can have, we'll cover this a little bit more in setting the price, but like you can have something cheap, you can have it fast, or you can have it quality, but you cannot have all 3.
Right.
Nope.
2
out of 3.
2 out of 3.
That's all you get.
And that's what you get. So, I mean, the same thing comes into play with your commission. Like you can have it cheap, sure, but it's probably not going to be fast, and the quality's probably not going to be there.
And the last 2 years was an anomaly, literally a worldwide anomaly in how things went. Now,
That's true.
Admittedly, a year ago, if you put your house out there and it was in halfway decent shape, and you didn't have very great quality representation, it was probably still going to sell.
Yeah.
But we're definitely seeing those days. Ask the feds. Those days have evaporated quickly. And truth is, from a seller's perspective, sure, if everybody wants to sell their house on the first weekend, and that was great for those sellers during the last year and a half or so. But the truth is, that was an unsustained. Now we've got runaway inflation, and that is a big reason why, is because you could list your house and sell it for over asking without much effort, and all the things that cause that are also the things that cause inflation. So those things are. Though luckily, the brakes are being pumped on that part, but that is definitely understanding kind of the undercurrent fundamental there helps you understand the commissions and why commissions are charged and who gets what. Yep. And also part of the agreement that you're signing here clearly states and separates what is going where and how much is going to. So now what we hadn't really talked about is historically where the funds to pay the commissions come from. And on paper and the way it appears is it comes from the seller, and it's a debit to the seller. But it's a lot of times it's rolled into the price of the house. What you often see with for sale by owners, for example, is they'll say, okay, I'm selling my house for sale by owner. The seller goes, okay, well, you're not paying commissions, so I can get your home for less money. That's oftentimes how that trade-off works. Yep. And so the point there is understanding the relationship between paying a commission and then the just your net that you're going to get out of that.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and even just, I mean, the old statistic was very coincident or helpful for us because, it said like if you used a realtor, you got like 26% more for your house than for the sale by owner. And I'm not selling ourselves or getting back into the picking your agent stuff, but there is something real to kind of like understanding those dynamics and like paying a commission by those statistics actually says, oh, even though I'm paying, I'm making more at the end of the day.
Well, we talked about that before. I'll just reiterate the point because it seems right time to do it. You can go to court without an attorney. You probably shouldn't. You can do your taxes without an accountant. You probably shouldn't. And it's not necessarily because it's in part because they're going to do a better job. Right. But the other big part is when I give my accountant my taxes, if I run the numbers and I say, okay, I'm going to get, $100 back. I'm going to pay him $300. He's going to run the numbers, and now I'm getting $500 back because he knows it better than I did, and now I'm getting more back than what I gave him. And not only that, but he handled the whole service for me. Okay, this business, and that's why we do this contract, is you're paying a commission, but what you should be getting back, and the agent should be able to explain this to you. What you're getting back should be more than what you're paying and or achieves the goal in your timeline or whatever. Yep. And at the same time, they're doing all the work so that you don't have to. Right. And so it's the commissions, it's multi-layered in that you're just paying someone to do the work for you. So there's just a straight like service fee because I'm doing all this work for you. Forget about, the profit and those kinds of things. I'm paying somebody a certain amount of money because I don't want to put up signs and list it and do all those things. Then there's the idea of this guy, this agent is representing the home in a way that they're going to get me more money than I could have on my own, or if I hired a cheaper service or whatever. The idea is I'm getting more value back than what I'm putting in. Yep. And that's where the commissions all come into play. And again, not trying to sell agents and sell commissions, but I just want everybody to understand there should be when you're looking at the commissions and when you're seeing it on the contract, you see those numbers, there should be a clear line between the cost of the commission and the value you're getting back.
Yeah, the commissions aren't just a money grab. It's not just somebody with their hand in your pocket. There should be a service and value that's attached to that.
Right.
And if there's not, either, you probably need to ask some more questions.
Yeah, to understand it.
Yeah.
And be comfortable with it.
Or shop around.
Well, I think that about wraps us up on signing agreements. So, as you're out there, if you're considering, you have questions, please leave a comment. We said like and subscribe about 100 times, but I'm going to say it again. Like and subscribe.
I mean, you're the
Hit the bell notification.
You're the
too.
YouTuber, see?
Oh, yeah, bell notification. Yep.
So you can get updates
but
when we
I
upload
think,
these podcasts.
I think I kind of want to wrap up with don't be intimidated by paperwork.
No.
It's for everybody's benefit, and it provides value, and you want your agent to commit to you, so committing to them is important as well.
Yep. And do not, I'm going to steal a line from Dave Ramsey. Do not move forward with anything you're not clearly comfortable with on the contractual side.
Yes.
And if your agent can't explain it in a way that makes you feel comfortable about it, then you either need to pause or find somebody else who can explain it. Because when you do sign a contract, contracts are contracts, and they're, there's a reason we're all signing and dating and such.
Yep.
But your agent should be able to clearly communicate, not just clearly communicate. It's not like we're trying to break it down or dumb it down. It's simply saying, your agent should be able to clearly communicate it in a way so that you fully understand it. And then if you don't, take pause in that and ask more questions or wait. Don't sign any contracts when you're not fully aware and comfortable with everything in it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So the next segment is going to be, this is maybe this will be fun. The next one's going to be setting the price. Yeah. This is probably the grayest, wackiest.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah, set it and forget it.
That's right.
Set it and forget it.
So that'll be the next segment.
Join us next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Thanks for coming.